It is a beautiful day to shoot a custom NightHawk Agent 2 1911. This is a super premium pistol, $6,000. Let's see how she does. 45 ACP, baby. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Today we have an absolute treat, and that is this. This is the NightHawk Custom Agent 2. And this is a collaboration between NightHawk Custom, who makes some of the best hand-fit custom 1911s in the world, and Agency Arms. And as you can see, it's kind of a cross between, well, a traditional 1911. This one is chambered in 45 ACP, single stack magazines, no optics cut. Very traditional 1911 in a lot of ways, but also very modern in the machining on the slide with the window cuts and these slide serrations and everything else. This is probably the nicest 1911 that I've ever had the pleasure to shoot, and I'm glad to be able to bring it to you guys today on Sawtooth Tactical. This thing is very nice. Extended slide release. I like it. The first thing I have to do is to thank Guffy's Gun and Pawn. Cody, the owner over there, loaned me this pistol to do this video. He's loaned me a number of guns in the past, including Staccato XC, Dan Wesson DWX, the Rock Island Armory RIA 5.0E. Every time he has something really cool and interesting, he lets me come and do a video about that, and I really appreciate that. Check out Guffy's Gun and Pawn. I'll leave a link to their website down below. I think that they're the best gun shop in southern Idaho. Maybe in Idaho altogether. I don't know. Those guys are awesome. But Cody loaned me this NightHawk. This thing is brand new. It had never been shot until today. And I forgot how much I love 45 ACP 1911s. I don't own a 45 ACP 1911 anymore. My 1911 is 9mm. 9mm. I love a 9mm 1911 double stack 2011, but man, there is something very satisfying about shooting a 1911 in the caliber that it was designed for. Yes, it does have a little bit more recoil, meaning that it's probably not going to be quite as fast to just dump rounds into the target, but that's probably good when you only have 8 rounds in a magazine anyway. The magazines do go fast, and you do a lot of reloading with single stack 45 1911s. That just is what it is. And it's something I've always said on this channel. I do think that the only real drawback to the 1911 platform is that capacity. Hence why 2011s were invented. And as you guys know, those are my favorite style of gun. I love single action guns. The triggers are absolutely amazing, and this one is no exception. In fact, the trigger on this one is, I mean, chef's kiss. This trigger is fantastic. The great thing about a single action trigger is exactly that. It's single action. So the trigger only does one thing. It doesn't need to cock a striker. It doesn't need to pull back a hammer. All it does is makes that hammer drop. And then the reciprocation of the action is what recocks the hammer. And so because of that, you get an incredibly crisp, light trigger, which makes shooting a single action gun just easier. Easier to get your shots on target without pulling something off target, especially when you have a gun like this. They've tuned the trigger to between 3.5 and 3.75, 3.75 pounds. Everything about this gun is really good. Not just the trigger, but the way that all of the controls feel. I've handled a lot of 1911s in my day, and just a lot of pistols in general. I've never felt a mag release as good as this mag release. I mean, I know that seems like such a simple thing, but man, the thing just pops in a way that I've never felt before, which is really cool. And like I said, all of the controls. The slide release here, it is extended which is really, really nice. Now, I don't really want to drop the slide on an expensive 1911, but the thing is, you can't usually reach the slide release with your strong hand on a 1911, and so you have to use your thumb on your support hand. Well, this one, you can reach it just fine. We're gonna go up close and look at all of the features and just all of the beautifulness of this $6,000 gun. But before we do, let's have a quick word from our channel partner. This video is sponsored by Aura. How important is privacy to you? Well, to me, it's actually very important, especially the older that I get. You have, a digital signature that follows you. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look at it, so much of life is online now. And if you don't have something like Aura protecting you, well, then you just have a lot of your own personal information out there. And people that, are not very honest have access to that. There are data brokers on the dark web and just the regular internet that are out there finding your information, and then they're selling it to scammers and to, spam companies that, call you with stuff you don't want to hear about and send you emails. And, I have gotten very sick of getting spam, but the biggest thing is also scammers. They take that information and they get them from data brokers, and they use that information to try to scam you. I've been really surprised before when I've gotten calls from scammers how accurate the information that they had about me was, which, makes it seem like it's something legit when it's not. Well, I've had Aura for 8 months now, and I don't get spam calls anymore, and I haven't gotten calls from scammers in that 8 months. Aura is a really awesome service. You can set it up in a matter of minutes. It's very affordable. It gives you a VPN. It gives you, data broker removal. That's the big one to me. But all kinds of other services that help protect your privacy online, you get all that, and it's only $12 a month. But if you use my link down below, aura.com/sawtoothtactical, you get to try it out for free for 14 days. That's 2 weeks. See if you like it and decide if you want to keep it or not. Check it out, aura.com/sawtoothtactical. I haven't shot a 1911 chambered in .45 ACP in a long time. I forgot how good it feels. It's a really just satisfying feeling round. Not a lot of capacity there. Really quickly, before we take an up-close look at this absolute masterpiece of a 1911, I want to mention one thing, because I did do a short about this gun on Saturday, and most of the comments were people saying $6,000 for a 1911, a single stack gun with no optic cut, is absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? You are absolutely correct. But there is a market for this gun. And the market is probably not me, and it might not be you. The market for a pistol like this is somebody that is a collector, somebody that has a lot of guns already. This is probably not their primary defensive pistol. This is a gun for somebody that appreciates the finer things in life and can afford to purchase them. That's who this gun is for. It's not for the guy that just wants a Glock 19 and a reliable carbine. Okay? So let's just get that out of the way, and let's look up very close at this thing, because it is the nicer things in life. NightHawk makes some of the nicest 1911s in the world. One gun, one gunsmith. Iron sights, but it does have a light rail. This 1911 comes in a beautiful leather carrying case. NightHawk custom, as you see here, one gun, one gunsmith. That is their thing. They, everything is hand fit by one person. Each gun has one guy that custom hand fits the whole thing together. And you can tell by just how tight this gun is. Like I said, I've handled a lot of 1911s in my day. I've owned quite a few of them. and I've never felt a gun this tight in my entire life. There is absolutely no play at all between the slide and the frame, which is pretty amazing that a gun that tight is as reliable as it is. I mean, this thing feels so smooth, and that's 45 ACP, so it has quite a heavier recoil spring than a 9mm 1911 or a 2011, but it still feels ridiculously smooth. Now, let's kind of go front to back, or tip to butt, as Garand Thumb does, because starting at the front kind of proves the point that this embodies people that want the finer things in life. The front sight here is a gold bead front sight, and it's an actual gold bead. So besides that, before I took this thing to the range, I wanted to make sure that it was lubed up enough because, again, very tight gun, but also 1911s in general just require a little bit more lube and a little bit more maintenance than a polymer striker-fired gun like a Glock. Well, I went to disassemble this thing, and it does have a traditional barrel bushing, not a bull barrel. I mean, but look how good it looks in the front. I mean, every bit of this gun, the attention to detail is absolutely amazing. But this barrel bushing is extremely tight. You do need a barrel bushing tool in order to get this off. I couldn't just do it with my fingers like I can with my Springfield 1911. Now, as we move back, the front slide serrations are very usable, but also very beautiful in my opinion. Very modern. So traditional 45 ACP 1911, but modern features. I mean, look at the machining on this slide. It is not only tri-topped, but it is like quintuple topped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angles just on the top of that slide. And then you got to your sides here, and it is flat on top. And I mean, you've got a rail for a light, 3-slot actual real Picatinny rail. Not a full dust cover, but long enough to put any light that you might want on it. I mean, a gun like this deserves, you know, an X300 that has matching Cerakote or something. If you're going to put a light on it, you gotta, I mean, you can't put something cheap on this. There's a reason normally when I review these guns, I put like a Streamlight TLR 1HL on them. That would just not be fair to do to this 1911. But as we move back from there, 45 ACP barrel, you have window cuts in the slide and the Agency Arms logo, because this pistol is a collaboration between NightHawk Custom and Agency Arms. Now those are both very high-end companies, and this is a very high-end gun, as we've already said. I mean, just the case right here. I love that, you know, it's cut out. They give you a couple magazines, and these are 8-round 45 ACP magazines, which technically for a 45 1911 is an extended magazine. The standard capacity for a single stack 45 is 7 rounds. And as I said before, this mag release feels amazing. I know it's a simple thing, a mag release, but it does feel very, very good. It's just very positive when you go to actuate that magazine release. Then we get to the slide release here, and this is another feature that I really love about this gun. So when your slide is locked to the rear, you can actually actuate and reach your slide release with your strong side thumb. That is, to me, a big deal on a 1911. Now I know that you can buy extended slide releases for 1911s and 2011s, but I've gotten so used to using my support hand thumb when shooting a 1911, it is really nice to be able to release that slide with your actual shooting hand. That is just a fantastic feature. Something simple, but also very effective, and something that I absolutely love about it. It has G10 grips that are, you know, again, very modern looking, and it feels really good. And you have these same slide serrations, or the same serrations as you have on the slide, on the front strap and on the mainspring housing or the back strap here, as well as on your grip safety. And the grip safety, of course, has the memory bump. I've never had a single issue actuating that grip safety. And then you have your thumb safety here, which is very positive. Easy enough to actuate, but gives enough resistance to know that you're in safe or fire. And of course, as I always do, I use that as a recoil mitigation device and kind of ride that thumb safety with my strong side thumb. Now let's talk about the trigger. The trigger is very, very good. In fact, let's take a little measurement here. So let's see what this trigger weighs in at. 3.8 pounds. And mind you, today was the first time that this gun has ever been shot. So the trigger probably will break in even a little bit more after that. 4.0, we'll do one more here. NightHawk says that this gun comes in at 3.5 to 3 3/4 pounds. And they're just about right there, 3.8. So very nice trigger. Besides just the weight, I mean, it is as crisp as can be. You have the standard 1911 take-up. And I mean, that's as good as a trigger gets, to be honest. And I also love the profile of it. Solid, but flat with just a little bit of a ledge down below to let you know you're at the bottom of it. I love a flat trigger. If you guys have watched the channel for a while, you know that about me. And so I think that this trigger, I mean, it's perfect. You've got a skeletonized hammer there. And again, similar slide serrations on the rear of the slide as you have up front. You do have a rear sight with a ledge on it. So, you know, a tactical rack rear ledge where, you know, if you needed to, you could rack that off your belt or your shoe or whatever. I mean, to me, this isn't the kind of gun that you're going to necessarily carry for self-defense, although you absolutely could. I mean, it shoots 45 ACP, which, you know, knockdown power, right? 2 world wars and all that. This gun would work just fine as a defensive pistol, but it's also so nice. I mean, I don't know. Do with it what you will if you have the means to afford something like this. Now, that thumb safety is only single-sided, so sorry for you lefties. Funny thing is, I'm actually left-handed, but I shoot right-handed. And then, of course, we have to talk about this Cerakote job because I did look on NightHawk's website and I didn't see this model with this Cerakote. So I believe this is a custom camo Cerakote job and god damn, it sure looks good. And the very last thing that I do want to bring up while we're looking up close at it is this magwell. So I've had 1911s with magwells before. Springfield TRP comes to mind. But it's very obvious that the magwell is like added to the frame of the gun. Well, on this one, it is blended absolutely perfectly where it looks like it's all just one single piece. And honestly, it might be. I mean, this kind of looks like it's all just machined one single piece there. I don't see any seams. So the magwell and your mainspring housing are one single piece, which I think is, I mean, it's just beautiful the way they did it. And while we're talking about that, everything is just blended. All of the angles, everything is absolutely perfect on here. There's no sharp edges except for where they want the sharp edges, such as your slide serrations where you need to be able to get a grip on it. I mean, even the slide, God, I don't know. I'm kind of amazed by this thing, to be honest. You guys know how much I love 1911s. And while I would not pay $6,000 for a single stack 1911 with no optics cut, I can see the appeal, absolutely. I mean, look at that barrel. You've even got, you know, these lines machined into the barrel there. This thing is just absolutely gorgeous, and it feels just as good, if not better, than the way it looks. I'm pretty sure this is the nicest 1911 that I've ever shot. I mean, look at that camo Cerakote job. Agent 2 is because agency arms. So NightHawk custom, agency arms. Thing is really nice. That was funny. This gun literally has zero play in it. It is super tight, but so far it's been perfectly reliable. I have always been a lover of the 1911 platform. Before I ever even got into guns, I just always thought, I always felt like a 1911 is what a pistol looks like, or what it should look like. I think that the classic lines, the reliability, in my opinion, and I know people talk about, oh, peanut butter and jam, your 1911. I've had pretty good reliability out of most of the 1911s that I've owned, or the ones that I've just had the opportunity to shoot. And this one is no different. Now, I did only run 100 rounds through it today. Regular 230 grain PMC ball ammo. This is a brand new gun, and I was lucky enough to be the first one to get to shoot it, and I didn't want to abuse that opportunity. But through that first 100 rounds, the thing ran absolutely perfectly, which I would expect no less from NightHawk Custom or Agency Arms. But again, with a gun this tight, you're gonna wonder a little bit before you shoot it. And it had no problems. The machining and the hand fitting together make for a very reliable but very tight, very beautiful pistol. And I know I'm really only saying good things about this gun, and that's because there's really only good things to say about it, except for the glaringly obvious things. You cannot put a red dot on this gun. It's not cut for a red dot, but it's also not meant for a red dot. It's a 1911. This isn't a 2011. And then, of course, single stack magazines, which, as you guys know, I like my capacity. It's nice to be able to keep shooting and shooting and shooting between reloads, but you know what? That's not what this gun is. It's a NightHawk Custom 1911. A 1911 has a single stack magazine, especially a 45 ACP 1911. So my only real gripes with it are just the fact that it is what it is, a 1911. Other than that, it's all the things that I love about a 1911 and more. If you are the type of person that can afford a $6,000 NightHawk Custom, I can't recommend this enough. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. If I had that kind of disposable income, hell yeah, I'd buy this. But unfortunately, I've put almost that much into a rifle, but that's a rifle with an optic and a suppressor and an expensive, a mod light and all of that stuff. Well, this costs as much as a very, very nice rifle, fully kitted out, just for this pistol. So, like I said, it's for a specific market segment. It's for people that have that kind of extra money and enjoy the finer things in life and are into guns. And for those people, NightHawk Custom is fantastic. Now, of course, one of my dream guns has always been a NightHawk, the TRS Comp or the Sandhawk, the 2011 with the island barrel, kind of like a Staccato XC. I've always wanted one of those. This is the first chance I've ever gotten to shoot a NightHawk, and it did not let me down in any way. There is just something about a single stack 45 ACP 1911 that just feels right. Last 4 rounds to make them count. Let me know in the comments, would you spend $6,000 on a 1911? You got to look at it as if you had $6,000 to spend on a 1911, would you do it? Because of course, for the guy that, like I said, just needs a Glock and a reliable carbine, this gun is not for you. This gun is not for me, to be quite honest. I don't have $6,000 to spend on a custom 1911. But for the people that can, it's pretty freaking sweet. Let me know if you've ever had a chance to shoot a NightHawk and what you thought of it down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. I want to thank Guffy's Gun and Pawn and Cody, the owner there, once again for letting me shoot this thing. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.